What would you say if I proposed there's a specific badge of honor that defines whether you're a true fan of Yu-Gi-Oh? You'll call bullshit, right? And you'll have a point, but hear me out. Before I say anything, nobody can ever tell you that you're not a true fan of anything. Nobody can truly judge your level of fandom, so let's make that crystal clear. This video will tell you my personal thoughts, so I really want to hear your thoughts in the comment section down below, or just tweet me at Dimsy's domain. There'll also be a big announcement at the end of the video, so please stick around for that. I'm gonna give you 3 reasons as to why I believe watching all of Yu-Gi-Oh! GX makes you a true fan of Yu-Gi-Oh! Number 1, GX was the start. So what makes a true fan? Many would argue that it's about supporting something through thick and thin, through the good times and the bad times. Bad times. When was that? When did it begin? Some will say that it started with Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. Look, I know Yu-Gi-Oh! GX had massive shoes to fill after the immense success of Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters. When Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters aired in Japan on April 2000 and in September 2001 in the West before releasing its Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards on March 2002, this was an epic time. Why? Everyone was watching and playing Yu-Gi-Oh! in 2002 to 2005. Literally every kid was obsessed. It traversed past just the kids channel and being some niche product. Every big, small and corner shop was selling Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards in the UK during this time. Characters such as Yugi, Kaiba, Pegasus, Joey and Marik became household names amongst the kids. Kids were talking about Yu-Gi-Oh! In the same breath as Dragon Ball Z and other super popular cartoons. But what happened? Only a few years later, the hype simmered down, and a decade after the initial Yu-Gi-Oh! Boom, it was gone. The anime wasn't anywhere near as popular, and the card game became increasingly more niche as time went on. A complaint many new or returning players have is how massive the learning curve is to play the game at least semi-competitively, and that's not even taking into account how expensive the game has become. The decline of Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a video for another day, but there is, or is there, a point which determines whether you're a, in air quotes, true fan of Yu-Gi-Oh! In my opinion, yes and no, but yes. It depends on your age. The start of Yu-Gi-Oh! GX was in October 2004 or 2005 of October in the West, and that was the signal of a massive paradigm shift for us especially. The intense and widely shared enthusiasm was fleeting because not everyone was watching or enjoying Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, or more specifically, the new protagonist Jaden Yuki in the dub. I would argue this was the start of the, again, air quotes, bad times for Yu-Gi-Oh! It became somewhat of a stigma where I grew up. If I still played Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards, you still play Yu-Gi-Oh! That was so last year! For people who may be younger or much older, an example I can give is when Pokemon Go was released, the whole world was in a frenzy playing it for a whole summer. Nowadays, nowhere near the same amount of people play it. The response usually is, oh, do people still play Pokemon Go? And that's how Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime fans and players felt during that GX era, or especially when GX came around. I'll be honest with you, I've been watching and collecting Yu-Gi-Oh! Ever since it became available. I was watching GX on ITV in the UK at 8:15 AM before school every other day, and myself, like other people, simply did not enjoy or like the major tonal shift from Dawn of the Duel to the happy-go-lucky Jaden. It was a hard transition. Now, they say a true fan is someone who sticks and supports something through thick and thin, good times, bad times. This theoretically was a bad time for Yu-Gi-Oh! For the Yu-Gi-Oh! Fandom, it wasn't nowhere near as popular as it widely was, and there was a stigma watching and collecting Yu-Gi-Oh! People scoffed at it, but for those who stuck to it, surely by default they are true fans. Another reason is that it widened our anime world. One of the benefits to sticking to Yu-Gi-Oh! GX all the way is how much of a gateway anime Yu-Gi-Oh! GX is. I'm gonna say something a bit blasphemous, scandalous, but I've not actually seen Yu-Gi-Oh! GX subbed like at all. For that reason, I hold myself by the dual disc and classify myself as a failure. Like, I've watched to some capacity every iteration of Yu-Gi-Oh! But not GX to the level that it deserves, and the importance of that GX era is absolutely insane. Don't worry, I'm gonna address this at the announcement by the end of the video. Yu-Gi-Oh! GX was not fully dubbed. For that reason, there are plenty of episodes left that many people have yet to see or just don't know that it even exists. Now, for those of you who search for the Yu-Gi-Oh! GX end of season 3 and season 4 subbed, That may have been the first ever exposure to subbed anime. I know it was for many people. Now in 2007 through 2010, the internet was a very different place. Getting all those viruses to watch an episode of subbed anime in 144p on some dodgy website or even Google Video before Google purchased YouTube was tough. I know many people who told me that was their first subbed anime, and that's why GX is a gateway anime. Or many people who said they've watched Naruto subbed, so they gave GX subbed a shot. GX was one of the first few that people actually watched sub because it was in that era. Literally, GX is among those classified as a gateway anime. I'm interested actually. I am very. What is everyone's gateway anime? Comment that down below and tell me, how did you first start watching subbed anime? But imagine you find out that there's more GX episodes. You find out that when you watch it, they're talking Japanese, and you find out the name isn't Jaden but Judai. The music and tone must feel so different. Boom, your mind is blown. Welcome to subbed anime. Many people say they're nostalgic for Duel Monsters, but I'd argue there's more nostalgia for GX. I was super young when watching Duel Monsters, but I was old enough yet still very young during the GX era to grasp some more complicated themes, which I may have not during the Duel Monsters era, although I still think I did. I have more nostalgia for GX in terms of collecting the cards and dueling, but in terms of the anime, it's always going to be Duel Monsters for me, and that might be opposite for other people. Another and final reason, Yu-Gi-Oh! GX was truly a new era. As with time, the trading card game got more and more competitive and complicated. It started all with GX because they really started to focus on specific mechanics of the game. In their case, it was fusion. More cards were released and it got more and more interesting. I said earlier how Pokemon Go was a recent example of a worldwide fad and how their user base plummeted after the fad was over. Yu-Gi-Oh! Was weird. Their player base only increased, eventually becoming a solid fandom of its own, branching out from the anime fandom, and it became its own TCG or OCG or just card duelist fandom. GX really tested people by giving Yu-Gi-Oh! Its first hurdle to jump over, and that's the fandom. And it opened up the game to a more wider, complex world to that we are more used to right now. So I have an announcement. I have the GX bug, so I need to watch it. I feel terrible. It will honestly be my first time watching Yu-Gi-Oh! GX subbed, and I got no clue how I'm gonna react. I invite every single one of you to join me on this journey. I'm going to commit to live tweeting at least the first season under the hashtag Yu-Gi-Oh! GX Rewatch on Twitter. Follow me there at Dimsy's Domain. Please use that hashtag and join me on the journey. I want to know everything. I want to know your reactions, your thoughts, your comments. Don't spoil me, please. On top of that, I will most likely make a chunky review of GX, and that's going to be done in real time. And with that, I'm going to begin my journey on the second installment of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Franchise. I would say get your game on, but I don't know what the sub equivalent is or what the mantra is in the sub version. See you soon. I hope you join me, and make sure you like and subscribe if you do enjoy this content. Take care.